So you were in the trailer with Snoop the whole night?
Well, just until like the very end, and then like everyone decided it was
How
time
did
to
you?
go.
I can barely think. Hi,
Anyway, hey folks.
we're on. We're on.
Hello.
Be cool. Anyway, welcome to Coffee Talk with Serge. This time we actually have coffee, and there's absolutely, categorically, no bourbon in this because I cannot do that anymore. As always, to try to do about 10 to 15 minutes. I think that's what we're averaging this week for the show. We're going to go over some security news. We're going to talk about stuff that happened last night, and we're going to talk about upcoming.
Not everything
things.
that happened last
No,
night.
not everything last
That's
night.
all right.
That Chatham House rules, friends. Can't talk about it. TLP Green, I believe, is what happened last night with you.
Sure.
So,
I don't know. Allegedly.
anywho, so for those who don't know, we are here at conf22, and we had a wonderful musical guest last night of Snoop Dogg. Is he still going? Is there double G's? You're more into the kids' music these days.
It's not kids' music, bro. I'm 40s. They were a Super Bowl halftime act. We're old now. It's exactly the demographic I was going for.
I did enjoy Gin and Juice in the elevator music.
I did enjoy the style.
That was fun.
It's a good time.
Good time.
I was impressed. There was a lot going on.
You went to the show, yes?
I did. I was there. I was in
And?
the crowd. I had my phone out. I was
Woo.
getting my video to.
Did he
prove I was
play?
there.
Did he play Freebird? Did he?
Gin and Juice. I heard Gin and Juice. Classic.
I love
Classics.
Audra's recollection of 90s rap music. When you were
Yes.
like 4. What was
It was a good time.
I was there for a little bit. I had to go get Mac before he, killed that last brain cell. We're gonna have a little talk about that later. Super good time. The folks we met last night, everyone seemed like in a really good mood. So kudos the entire Splunk team for having a search party set up and special.
Incredible. Every year, it's such a huge hit. People love it. They dress up in ridiculous costumes, fezzes. I'm really still hoping that we're paying the person who's walking around in the pony costume. Otherwise,
I think that's just.
it's a choice.
You know who that is.
It's a choice.
You know who it is.
I know. Yeah, I do know who it is. It's yeah. Woo.
Someone's got to do it. It's a hard job, but
So while we were all out last night drinking water and going to bed early, things like that, cyber badness happened. Go figure.
Cyber badness happened.
Yeah,
yesterday. Audra, what happened in the
shall we
world of
dive in?
cybersecurity? Yeah.
All right. So yesterday, Velexity, they're on a roll. They published a new blog yesterday about a new 0-day. This one they're calling Drifting Cloud. They're attributing it to a Chinese APT group by that name. This one, according to Sophos, this is a authentication bypass vulnerability, allowing remote code execution. Velexity is seeing it actively exploited in the wild. One of their customers, actually, they observed some weird activity. They looked into it, and they found that apparently an attacker backdoored one of the firewalls with a web shell, and they were using that for man-in-the-middle attacks, stealing session cookies to then compromise servers outside of the firewalled network. So in this case, it was cloud-hosted web servers that were hosting the organization's public-facing website. So they looked into it. They said that this type of attack, it's rare and it's difficult to detect. And so that's why it has a CVSS score of 9.8. But the good news is that Sophos has issued a hot fix.
Nice.
And so by default, customers will have automatic installation of hot fixes. You have to opt out of that in order to not get those. So it's a good thing to look into if you do have that firewall. And Sophos also has an advisory with more information about that.
Which adversary was it again? Floating Cloud?
Drifting Cloud.
Drifting Cloud.
Funny, that was
Yeah.
my adversary name.
Yeah.
I heard Drifting Cloud, and I was like, wait, they saw me last night?
Yeah, they were. That was incredible in the trailer. That was the.
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with Drifting Cloud. Do you know what that's
No.
usually attributed to?
No.
Huh.
I know that's their name for it. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if it
yeah.
maps to someone else. Again, that APT Rosetta is the game we all love to hate.
Yeah, thank you,
So
Forrest.
I'm going to dig into the folks. But great job, the guys at Velexity. I really hate that they're so good and they're doing it so often. It's credit to the research.
They're not dropping it on Fridays. They're not dropping it on weekends.
They are
They're not dropping it on
my
holidays.
hangover, so it's really no.
No, Velexity, for those of you not familiar with it, phenomenal group of folks. We know actually quite a few of the, one of the
Researchers,
founders,
yeah.
Stephen Adair, Tom Lancaster. He came over from, I believe, Palo Alto before Unit 42.
It's a brilliant crew over there.
Yeah.
The work they're doing is amazing. And so yeah, if you got a Sophos firewall, might want to look into patching it, getting that hot fix in as soon as possible.
And you know what
Yeah.
else is interesting about this? Velexity decoded some requests made by the attacker in this specific attack using the web shell, and it was using the Behinder framework. And they say that this same framework was leveraged by the believed Chinese APT groups involved in the Confluence Zero
Really?
Day. I thought that was interesting because they also released the blog about Confluence.
Yeah, I've been hearing more and more about the. Whoa, Lord, that was a long night. The framework behind her.
Behinder, yes.
Yeah, that's come up multiple times in the last couple of weeks for some things I've been reading. So it's interesting to see that that's probably how they're doing some of the attribution. So that makes sense.
Yeah, so that definitely something to keep an eye on, and we'll keep monitoring this and see where it goes. But another piece of news I thought was worth mentioning is Internet Explorer. Did you guys hear that it's no longer supported by Microsoft? It's been 27 years.
So it's almost as old as you.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go with that.
Yep.
So no longer supported, but it doesn't mean you can't use it anymore. It's legacy now.
Well, this is hard,
So-
right? Like, IE is embedded in so much, like medical equipment. It's embedded in IoT, ICS. Like, there is absolutely going to be support for people who want to pay Microsoft for Internet Explorer. Is probably
We saw
my
that
guess.
with Windows XP.
Yeah, we saw that with Windows
But
XP.
there's also going to be an IE mode in Edge.
Yeah.
And it's not like Microsoft will never have a browser again.
Well, I
We're
think Edge is just
the
like hidden
browser.
Chrome, right?
Yes.
So
I mean, I don't know. I don't.
That's fair.
I will not comment on that publicly, friend.
It was a year ago that Microsoft announced they were going to drop support
it is.
for
I
Internet
mean, it's just
Explorer. So
crazy. I mean, that was something that they got a antitrust lawsuit on. They went to bat against an entire continent, and now it's just like, we're good. That's
We're
fine.
done with that
We're
now.
done with
We're
that.
done with
That's
that.
that's all. We're just moving.
So
along.
yeah, they want everyone to move to Edge is the move there. So
Yeah, if I was a network defender, I have to say I would really be looking at user agent strings coming out of my network, trying to see what we did. Like former life, when I had a real job and I didn't sit up here with a puppet and you.
Thank you.
We used to do a lot of analysis with user agent strings, looking for out-of-date software.
Yes.
Like you can look for those who've never done this before, it's a great way to find like applications that are using things like Python or Java. A lot of times they'll have that in the user agent string. It's not a great way, like adversaries, very easy to mask
Easy to
your
forge
user
that,
agent
super
string.
easy, yeah,
but a lot of times things pop out that you don't know.
And I think it's a good way, just as a network defender in general, to, hey, this user agent string is pointing to a browser that's clearly out of date and should not be in use anymore. It'll be easier for you to kind of track that down and get that off your network if needed.
There you go. If you want to find out how much Internet Explorer is still on your network even after it's decommissioned, check out user agent strings to get that sweet, sweet network telemetry data.
I think so.
The best of all things.
yes, and there is going to be an IE mode in Edge for legacy applications and websites, and that's expected through at least 2029.
Oh, wow.
So,
So I think we'll be good until then.
We're good.
yes.
Uh,
All right. Well, that's all I have for news because I have not been as plugged in as I usually have.
I
the
still,
last week. So,
Let's start
I
calling you
think the,
floating Audra Cloud.
yes.
There we go.
I think the only other big news story I heard was the potential sale of the NSO Group.
That is fascinating.
It's really amazing because NSO Group is NSO Group, and it was a U.S. company, a clear defense contractor, that was looking at purchasing that, and I can't imagine just equities that
It's
are
an
in play.
interesting discussion for those of you who haven't been following NSO over the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
They are a firm out of Israel that create tracking software. Is probably the most diplomatic way to put it for mobile devices. The export license out of Israel was
Very
a little
much
bit interesting.
ITAR.
Yep, and it has been used in many, many high incident espionage campaigns, but it was legitimately purchased by many Western governments. Recently, there was some really interesting, fascinating news that came out about 6-7 months ago, I think, is when we talked to Scott and Rick a bit
Right,
about this at my house in Dallas. For those of you who've never looked into NSO software, it's a plague for people. It's very hard to defeat.
I mean, it's very good at what it does.
It's very good at what it does. There's a reason
the
governments buy
purchase
it.
of that company by a clear defense contractor, I think the investigation, the apple cart,
Yeah,
would
because the FBI
definitely
was
be tipped
investigating.
over.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how that plays out. But at the end of the day, I think I tweeted out this morning, NSO Group in this economy? You crazy?
You're self-promoting your own tweets.
I am
on
at No
LinkedIn.
Hack Me. Go look it up. Please validate me online. So we're wrapping up comp for the week, right? You are headed out with some friends, both of you.
Yep.
I am going back to Baltimore.
'Cause you don't have friends?
Highlights for the week. I had the best time at Sim. I thought Sim went really good. The Insider Minicon.
Yeah. For those of you who didn't pay attention on Monday, we ran our own Splunk Insider Mini Conference. It was Chatham House Rules. It was kind of like bringing a little bit of ShmooCon and DEF CON.
A little bit of Sky
Splunk.
Talks and
Definitely some spicy Sky Talks.
apparently a whole lot of swearing. We apologize for that.
Are we though?
Okay, that's
Apologizing.
fair. That's fair.
We are.
Okay.
Oh, we are. Yeah.
are, okay.
He isn't. That's. I don't think he has a single apology.
I think another highlight for me for the week is aside from like, hey, I recognize you, which is a new thing for me, I have heard more about Haley's talk than any other talk.
Yes.
And no offense, Gary. Sorry, you were fantastic. Patrick, you were fantastic. But everyone is in love with Haley and what she's doing with
Yep.
RBA.
It keeps
And
coming up over
that's
and over. It
amazing.
was in
And
the
her
super
talk-
session.
Yeah, her super session, and then I went to her session yesterday, and it was very well attended. A lot of people, a lot of questions.
More than my 20.
I was one of those 20.
Maybe a
I
little
support
bit.
you, friend. Always.
Few people. But yeah, Haley is the queen of RBA, so this is her week
She's just a queen anyway.
Yeah.
Just slays all the things in front of her. We're just huge
Yes.
fans. I
I
know
like
a lot
that
of
you're using Slay now.
I know.
I'm glad
Well,
Kelsey-
Kelsey, I spent too much time with our lovely, slightly younger colleague, Kelsey. She's taught me new vocabulary like slay queen. I'm very into it. It's very
Yes.
exciting for me. Definitely the people aspect for Conf for me was incredible. Getting to see folks I haven't seen for 4 years.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier, but there's people who work for me now who I haven't seen since the pandemic. So being able to spend time with them. I did give a talk. It had thousands of people in
It was
attendance.
amazing.
Yes.
I
Thousands.
barely got to see
It was the
Barely
most
got to
popular
see.
talk of the week.
Good answers, both of you. I will
Very
continue
good.
accepting your expenses. But was not well attended. It's a little bit of an esoteric subject. Sadly, Shannon Davis, our beloved colleague, was not able to be there due to some illness. But we might have only had 20 people in the audience, 20 or 30 people in the audience, but we had 15 solid minutes of actual questions, not
No, I
stump
thought
the
it was,
chump, not like I have a thing that I'm going to tell you about, just like,
I thought it was fantastic.
I listened, I paid attention, and I synthesized, and I want more info, which
Honestly, it's a rarity in talks that I've seen
Absolutely
given. It's
rarity.
just folks were really engaged in the
Super
material
engaged.
and had solid
I
questions.
mean, 10 or
after it.
15 people gave questions out of 20 or 30 people in the audience, right? Like, so for me, that was awesome that the work that Shannon did, I was so privileged to be able to present on it. I also got to give a little bit of a super keynote session yesterday.
I
which was
will
fun.
never, ever get used to the Kovarzilla.
Yeah, the
I don't-
100-foot
weird,
Kovarzilla.
Weird thing for me.
That was pretty awesome. Those were probably my two favorite things. Haley just crushing all the things. Like, that's pretty badass. What about you?
Snoop Dogg was a highlight for sure. I had never seen him in concert or anything like that, so that was exciting.
Well, he stopped, he retired when you were like 18. So
Yes,
the fact he got back on the stage.
that's true. That's very true. It was a good time though. This is my first in-person comp, so seeing the search party in person, it was really exciting, and really just meeting a whole lot of people. I'd either seen their name on Slack or
Right.
on Zoom, but I hadn't actually had a conversation in person, so that was great. Just
What
to-
was, like, did you have any preconceptions coming to Conf that then after being here, like, oh, that was 100% validated?
I
or
tried
like,
to come
holy
into
crap,
this with no expectations because
That's you.
that's a good way
100% you.
to do
Yeah.
things. I think is just no expectations, just go with it, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Your expectations
So-
were met then
Yes.
by having none.
Well, if you have low expectations, then you're always,
That's what my mother always told me.
Yes,
I only have
exactly.
low
Exactly.
expectations
your
of you.
expectations. But really, though, I think that this exceeded any expectations that I did have.
Well,
even
you
though I
had
didn't know what
none,
to
so
expect.
success.
Yes, exactly.
There we go.
Came into it with none. It was a great time, and yeah, definitely the talks were interesting. I really enjoyed. I think my favorite talk of the week was actually about ICS security. It was with Dragos about incident response
Oh, with Leslie.
with Leslie. Yes, and that was I thought that was
You've gotten really interested in ICS. This, I believe we
Well,
talked
it's
about it.
important.
We asked your
Yeah.
favorite sim talk. It was the ICS kind of focused one from Joe, who used
Yeah.
to work at
At
Dragos,
Dragos.
and Leslie now for all the great work that they do over at Dragos. So
yeah,
fun
and
stuff.
just learning more about the differences between IT and OT because they are different approaches when it comes to not only defense but also incident response and
Well, wait till you find out, now that you have your Network Plus, that IP is different in IoT and IT. So it's IP is a different protocol than TCP/IP for the ICS SCADA world, and it's really annoying.
It's a good thing we have XIoT.
XIoT. Yes.
Is that extended IoT?
I don't know. It was a sign
Just
I
put
saw
an X
last week.
before
when I was getting some
everything.
Free coffee. It was just
Yep.
super good. Really,
pretty
really
awesome.
enjoyed it.
Well, speaking of low expectations, I hope you didn't have many for today. We did our absolute best here.
Crushing it.
Yes.
It's crushing it.
We're going to take a month off. Not going to lie. Getting burned out. That's where I'm at mentally.
Okay.
It's been a
Is this-
long couple
Is this
weeks.
our last
What are we
show?
doing?
I think
2
it's our
weeks.
last show.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're the boss, you say yeah.
We're done.
All right. Awesome.
You're laid off for the summer. I mean,
Wait a minute.
Mac, we've replaced you.
We're
with
getting a
smaller,
job
more
here. We're going to
attractive
stay
puppet.
here and get a job. All right. We're going to start working in Vegas.
It's going to be out in the strip. There we go. Yeah, we're going to take a month off. We're going to be back actually here in Vegas in a month and a half or so.
For Black Hat
For
DEF
Black
Con,
Hat DEF Con?
besides the 13th,
Yeah.
besides Las Vegas. I'm super.
Pretty crazy. So
Yeah.
we'll be back first week of August. Maybe we'll get crazy, do something last week of July, since at least you and
Sure.
I are in town.
We are.
And we'll figure this out. But thank you, as always, for those of you watching. For those of you who have not yet been to .conf, I hope you're able to make it in the future. And for those of you out there, please be safe, be healthy, and be happy. And frankly, that's all we have. So thank you very much.
Later, Gators.
Bye, everyone.
And I'm just going to slowly
Turn
back
and
away.
fade. Wait, I need papers to do the things.